gentlemen, this is part one of Damian Crawford's speech. So this is gonna be a series. We have to do it like that, but people attention span is so great, don't it? That is it. So remember again, ladies and gentlemen, like and share the video with at least 20 new people. And let's get the likes up to 1,000 likes. Road to 20K before the end of April. Good? Here we go.
I don't want any. We're going to be good stewards there, right? All right. Senator Crawford.
President, that I would love to have up. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to present today. Getting to the age that I have to choose the glasses that's most appropriate.
Embarrassing!
Mr. President, or the mics. Everybody in there, thank you. Mr. President, I am so happy to see our children here from Dalton James.
No, sir.
And also
from no, sir, Damian come out for kids them in a car. For them go see pity them in turn Superman, you know. Naturally.
From our university, the Carmack students that are present. I'm happy because the class is about to begin. Mr. President, I title this conversation Truth and Democracy. Because, Mr. President, the government's debate has been shrouded in lies and fake news. What I'd like for the takeaway today, the takeaway project, I hope my teacher will oblige, is that after this presentation, when they go back to school next week, they should write an essay on the types of lies that were stated in the presentations. There are indeed different types of lies. There's a stretch of the truth to make something sound bigger or better. That is called an exaggeration. There's omission, leaving out information, important information, so as to mislead. There's also refusing to admit the truth, even when confronted with evidence. That's called denial. There's fabrication, making up completely false information. Misleading statements. Which is statements with the intent to deceive. Blame shifting, lying to avoid responsibility by blaming others. And gaslighting, manipulating someone to doubt their memory or perception. I hope that as of Monday, you can use any of these analyses to tell what types of lies are being told to you or have been told in this entire budgetary process. Mr. President, it is upon us that we are called not just to know the truth, but to stand for it. As children of light, we must mash down lies wherever they rise. For what fellowship hath light with darkness? Indeed, they said love and hate can never be friends. Mr. President, the JLP's entire communication is dependent on one statement that the Prime Minister made, and I quote, he said, there are several generations of young people who do not know our modern history. There are generations of middle-aged and older people who have forgotten. The JLP is dependent on the youth who might not have known and the older individuals who might have forgotten. Indeed, Mr. President, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And the JLP has the heart to mislead, the heart to deceive, the heart to misinform, the heart to misrepresent, the heart to hoodwink, and the heart to hold to power at any cost. I'm sad that a friend of mine is leaving because that heart has been exhibiting itself on their platforms. Persons who are friends of mine, my mother asks me sometimes, how do you choose your friends? Have been calling my name in the most way on radio and on the platform. I said, Delano Seabright, Senator Seabright, a friend as well. And by the way, Senator Seabright is the one who started the rumor about shelling down London with Jamaica money. Can you believe that? I was in London presenting an academic paper. They wouldn't understand that because they're not academics. Paid for by the conference. And a friend of mine started a rumor that I was there shelling down England. But I...
Oh, wow. Delano? Oh, yeah. So, there's just no integrity. There's just no integrity in the Jamaica Labour Party. Wow, that's crazy. I never knew that.
Forgave him.
Of course, because you're forgiving.
Because when his trouble came across my decks in his early times, I could have taken revenge. Because the truth was worse than the lies. But power don't lie in anger. It lies in knowing you could have done it and not doing it. Their mouths, Mr. Speaker, have revealed what their masks have tried to hide. No matter how well you pretend, your words will tell the truth about you. The first set of lies that would have been established would have been along the lines of inflation. And in this case, there is a, students, I want you to look, there's a line there called total inflation, which is the addition of all the years of inflation. It was put there to indicate that there was a period of PMP governance that had such a large level of inflation that it was 2,249. They failed to acknowledge this was the longest term that any government has ever served.
Big up.
And so therefore, over 18 years, they sought to compare with 4 years. And therefore, the accumulated level of total inflation was an unnecessary segment in this table. The average annual inflation speaks, where it speaks to 18.
Sorry. All right. Just hold a second. Hold a second for me, please. Senator Brown, all right, have a seat. Have a seat. All right. All right. And where is going? So the standing order says that whilst a person is presenting and speaking, that he should be heard in silence. All right. So, Senator Morgan, we appreciate the bantering that goes across at times, but yes. All right. All right. So,
and that guy will not shut up. He will not shut up. Even when told this, he's still not going to shut up. No respect.
continue.
Yeah, Mr. President. I don't mind, but I appreciate Senator Brown because you're setting a good example for my little children who are here today. So, we're going to set that example. The Prime Minister made heavy weather of this 2000, not indicating the period of time, and sought to also compare Jamaica's reality with the United States reality. Before I indicate the reasons why this is not an adequate comparison, even the numbers that they have presented suggest that there are multiple times that the JLP was worse than the PMP. Now look at February 1989 to September 2007. This is the exact presentation from Mr. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Dr. Andrew Holness. If you look at the 89 to 2007, 18 and a half years that the PMP was in power, the average annual inflation was 18.5%. In the United States, for which he was seeking to make heavy weather, it was 2.9%. That's almost 6.3 times what existed in the United States. But he failed to have done sufficient analysis to recognize that in September 2007 to December 2011, which was the JLP, they were 12.3% in relative to the United States, 1.5%. That's 8.2 times what was in the United States. So therefore, if it is that relativity was supposed to be used, the JLP in 2007 to 2011 was 8.2 times inflation in the United States. However, the PMP was 6 times inflation in the United States. However, for the knowledge of our students, I'd like them to know that even that was a false analysis. There was no real basis to utilize the United States in comparison with Jamaica. An appropriate comparison would have been other Caribbean islands because the United States don't have the same realities that we face. But there's even more information in the slides that the Prime Minister presented. In the slides that the Prime Minister presented, it proved that he had the worst performance since he got the baton. Indeed, in 2002, 2007,
The advertisement they loaded
18.5% on average. The Bruce Golding government 2007 performance since he got the baton. Indeed, In 2002-2007, the inflation was 18.5% on average. The Bruce Golding government received the baton and reduced it by 6.2 percentage points and carried it down to 12.3%. The Portia Simpson Miller government got it and reduced it by 6 percentage points and carried it down to 6.3%. Andrew Holness got it and carried down to 5.5, a reduction of less than 1 percentage point. So he's making a big deal about look how me fast when it's just that he got a good batter.
People, I want you guys to screenshot that. That is important. Because the realities, versus the narratives, We have to mash down the lie them, and we have to tell the truth. I am very pleased that Damian Crawford did this presentation. Screenshot that graph right there. Screenshot that.
So he's making a big deal about look how me fast when it's just that he got a good batter. Prime Minister Bruce Golding reduced it by 6 percentage points. Prime Minister Portia Simpson reduced it by a further 6 percentage points. Yet they tried to convince us that the best Prime Minister we have ever seen reduced it by less than 1 percentage points.
That's embarrassing.
Embarrassing! We need some milk!
You see how far off from the truth these people are? Less than 1% in reduction when Bruce Golding did an excellent job compared to that. Mama Portia did an excellent job compared to that. But they want us to believe, ladies and gentlemen, that this man, based off performance, is the best prime minister in the world. I call cap.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
All lies will be exposed. That's all.
All lies.
And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
I had to ensure that a picture like this exists, but Holness has done the least. That's a KC man winning that race so beautifully, as we will later today. And Canada is already at 4th or 5th or something like that. I'm not afraid. Yeah, they're way around the come. But I think they're coming behind even Edith Alton today. Edith Alton will beat them. So with the baton, he has done the least. He has also sought to prove misleading historical comparison. Prime Minister attempted to vilify the PMP by highlighting average inflation from 1989 to 2007. He, however, fails to highlight the global economic context, including oil price shocks, trade liberalization mandates, structural adjustment from the IMF, and they also fail to acknowledge that food inflation, which is the level of inflation affecting the majority of people, is at 7.4%. This highlights a persistent and significant burden on household budgets, especially for low and middle income Jamaicans, even while headline inflation remained within the BOJ target. Indeed, in our Parliament, in this Senate, I have made 3 presentations asking for a targeting of food inflation as well as a targeting of overall inflation. Because there are times that the overall inflation disguises the suffering of the average individual who don't spend on the entire basket that exists.
That's another key factor in this presentation. I'm going to play that back. Listen to what he's saying now. Listen to what he's saying.
And middle income Jamaicans, even while headline inflation remained within the BOJ target. Indeed, in our Parliament, in this Senate, I have made 3 presentations asking for a targeting of food inflation as well as a targeting of overall inflation. Because there are times that the overall inflation disguises the suffering of the average individual who don't spend on the entire basket that exists.
So what he's saying is that, ladies and gentlemen, the when they come out and they give you the stats about inflation, it's like, yes, we're doing a good job keeping inflation at this level compared to what's going on. But when you look at the food inflation, it tells a different story, because the dollar is at a point where, based off people's earnings, the struggle is extremely real. Alright? And when they tell you that, when you see reports coming out that people actually find food to eat consistently on a daily, nutritious food to eat consistently on a daily, it is no joke. It is actually no joke. Alright? So let's continue.
They have never indicated that. So the food inflation is outside the target levels of inflation. Therefore, a large proportion of our society whose income is directed mainly to consumption of food is not being addressed by what is being posited by the inflation rate. The next level of lies that we're told would have been debt to GDP. This graph that I'm showing here is the exact same graph that was presented by Prime Minister Dr. HOLNESS. I'll give him the doctor until I hear further information. But Prime Minister Doctor, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Now let us look at the realities. Mr. President, they seek to sell this argument that the JLP are the great debt managers and the PMP is loose with the management of debt. They seek to sell that argument. Well, we have not bought that argument. Let's go to the other slide. Let's look at the debt to GDP. Every time you come and say you need to check, you don't check. Check and come back, man. In 1962, the PMP handed the baton to the JLP. It's important for students to know that self-governance and independence are two different things. That before independence, we were governing ourselves and both the PMP and the JLP existed. The PMP handed over the baton in 1962 at 20% debt to GDP. 20%. At the end of the JLP's first term, Bustamante term, and I think you shared that term. Sangster got a piece of it. So now I'll give it because it's not so good. It moved to double 40%. So therefore, these great debt managers' debt in that period moved from where they got it at 20% to 40%. 100%. We then, if you wake up and think you know more economics than me, go back to sleep. And then, inflation moved, debt to GDP ratio, moved to 80%. So Michael Manley got the baton in 1972 at 40%. And it moved up as well to 80%. However, the CR got the baton in 1980.
The financial whiz?
The financial whiz.
I wonder where it went.
It moved to 212%.
Embarrassing. We need some milk.
Help. We out of the
We need your divine intervention. We're tired of the labor rights. We're tired of the green people. We are so far. We can't take it no more. We need this. We need it. We need it. Help. Help. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength. Is a liberator.
In 1972 at 40%. And it moved up as well to 80%. However, the Sierra got the baton in 1980.
The financial whiz?
The financial whiz.
I wonder where it went.
It moved to 212%.
From 80% to 212%. Wow. So that is 250% increase. Wow, more than 250% increase from 80 to 212. Yeah, that is actually, wow, that is actually over 250%, ladies and gentlemen. A financial whiz. That's crazy.
That green line in the middle, the highest it has ever been, was under the Jamaican Labour Party, under the quote-unquote financial whiz. And forgot that he had a duty. And when the PMP got it, now what I have done here is to be truthful and fair. I have not, no, listen. No, I'll give him a class later. Because I like when the friends are at the same level. It's not possibly too late. But what happened here is that I have given with fairness. Because the election was before the 6th month, I have given 1990 to the People's National Party. 1989 to the People's National Party. But when the PMP actually got government, it was 260%. But we're going to work with 212. Like bad enough, we don't have to get nothing more. And now to exaggerate. When the PMP got it, Mr. President, this government of the 18 years that they claim was poor in management and was debt-free, well, I mean actually ballooned the debt. The truth is it dropped from 212 to 113%. How then have they been able to sell this lie that they are the fiscal party? And it's not finishing. Because when they bamboozled the people in 2007, and it went over to Bruce Golding, It then went up again to 134%.
What?
So what happens?
So alright, so it, wow, that's crazy.
You know,
Wow.
no, and most time I don't like speak to Bruce Gold in the parliament because my good friend is across the room. And his daughter, and there's relationship. And I respect that, I really do. And I rate Bruce Gold, I'm telling you the truth. No, I rate him. He's one of the brightest politicians I have seen. But the facts matters.
Oh, him a talk about Bruce Golden daughter, so him not really want to crush her can, because he actually rate her. Yeah, man, Crawford has split justice people, you have to respect that, you know.
That with all things considered, it moved from 113% and increased under the JLP. Every single time that they have gotten it, there is an increase. The people found their way. And by the way, in that time, failed IMF test. In that time, could not sit. I don't want to follow that example. Didn't show up for the test. Yes,
exam all the time.
and when the BNP got it, it reduced to 124.5. This is the party that they're saying don't have no fiscal discipline. The facts. No, the presentation not done. Just wait, no man. I'm still at primary school. I'm carried to high school after and then college. It soon come. The only time that the JLP has reduced what they have gotten from the PMP is this time. And it is because any law-abiding government would follow the fiscal rules that were set by the People's National Party.
That is true. That is true. This is a fact that them cannot argue. I mean, I'm telling you, man, Damian Crawford really put Andrew Holness foot in his mouth. He put his own foot, Andrew Holness foot in his own mouth in this particular demonstration of the facts. I understand. So all the lies them that Andrew told about being fiscally prudent and he, you know, the JLP being the father and all of this nonsense, mash down them the lie, the people, mash them down.
Any law-abiding individual who was Prime Minister or Minister of Finance now would have carried out the same exact trajectory that we have agreed to under the fiscal policy rules. But and you have answer for me after? All right, good. All right, you will be with it. Cool. In 1962, leave it. All right, cool. Got to their big day, a record document. The JLP got it in 1962 at 20%. They doubled it. That's not excellent.
Sharon, good morning.
The PMP got it at 40%. It increased. Not excellent management, based on the proxy of management. Is a rise in debt to GDP is a proxy of management. That is what they have put forward. The JLP got it in 1980 and carried it from 80% to 212%. And then to 260% and giving over the button. If I was at Champs, I would have nobody run. You know, sometimes everybody say, yo, I'm not running, man. But because of our confidence and commitment, we ran as fast as we could.
I like that analogy because it's Champs going on right now. And the students are in the parliament. And yo, Damian Crawford is a genius, you know. His IQ is not normal. People really need to pay attention to this guy. Yo, the way how he teaches, brilliant. Listen, the facts are the facts. The numbers, you cannot argue about the numbers because they were recorded and documented. Alright, and I don't understand why the politicians even come out and lie. Right? Well, I do understand why they do, because you know there's people out there that is not going to sit down and actually go over this speech and really dig into the information and verify to say, alright, did this actually happen? Where can I go to look for this information? Look for the information themselves and go, oh, okay, he was telling the truth. He was telling the truth. And he has an obligation to really tell the truth, you know. I mean, for his own integrity. Right? Because if he lies, it can be easily debunked. And this is what the Prime Minister did in his presentation. He lied to the Jamaican public. And it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing.
Emotional damage.
No, a government that took the debt to GDP down by 100% reduction. I think if you can get 100% reduction, that would be incorrect. 100% reduction would be 0. So therefore, it is a 50% reduction. The increase would be the 100, but the reduction is 50. I have to make sure the kids understand. Therefore, you take it down by 100 percentage points. From 212 to 113. That is the government they're trying to sell as being a bad government and debt unconscious. After that, they got it and carried it up again. They did not find their way in our lifetime. Because we now compare long time Brazil to Argentina. It's now Brazil to now Argentina. This group of individuals here, I was present, you were present, most of us were present 2011, you were here, yes. Most of them over there were here. They were in the shadows. At that time, Dana was our party. They was PMP that time. They took it from 113 to, you was feeding at the trough, 134. So therefore, this argument of debt, mismanagement, and non-fiscal, the numbers don't show that. And quote, fiscal rules that he's claiming to be father, godfather, or grandfather of.
Yes. We'll say advertisement when I come do that, you know.
Fiscal rules that he's claiming to be father, godfather, or grandfather of.
Yes.
He suggested that we sold the country to the IMF.
We have a name for that in
Yes, your failure, not taking the IMF test preceded it. Ready again. If it is, I'm not giving that one. That one is exaggeration. Give me another one. Exaggeration. I'm not going to exaggeration. They're claiming paternity.
We have a name for it.
They're claiming paternity for Jamaica's fiscal turnaround. And they say that the period 2007 to 2011 is proof of that paternity. First of all, let us acknowledge that not even with style and safe. Remember last year in this house I come and say, the paternity and Andrew's not the father. The man take the style. They take the plans. They take the ideas and the style.
Embarrassing. He needs some milk.
Promote the style and say that he's a good communicator. He raped me, man. He raped me. But let us look in divorce court. What happened in 2007 to 2011? The IMF suspended disbursement to Jamaica in 2011. The IMF refused to give them anything more. It says during the JP administration led by Bruce Golding, the IMF suspended disbursement. Let's go into details. February 2010, Jamaica entered a 27-month standby agreement with the IMF. What happened before February 2010? In 2007, the United States financial meltdown. Audley Shaw, the then Minister of Finance, 2008, said that Jamaica will benefit. Don't forget also that Andrew Holness was a senior member of that cabinet. So while Audley Shaw was the one speaking, he was speaking on behalf of the entire Jamaica Labour Party cabinet. It's like over here on the platform, my friend Senator Steve Wright said, Senator Crawford, I know him like to talk. Like on a talking business winner. It's like saying both like to run. Man in a running business.
Oh my God.
He said they're going to raise the tax, and if he said it, then that is the PNP. I can't listen to him now. But he don't want to tell you that Minister Delroy Chuck said I'm going to legalize Obia. Is that what the JLP going to do? He about how he said. They were speaking on behalf of Andrew Holness. And when they ignored that financial crisis, and the negatives started to pile up, they went back to the IMF in 2010. By January 2011, less than a year, the program had gone off track. What were the reasons? Slippage in meeting fiscal targets, the one that we set and meet every time in 2011 to 2016. They're saying that we are less fiscally responsible when the evidence said we met all our fiscal targets than those who did not. What can go so? progress and structural reforms. Not adequate, you know. Inadequate. The opposite of adequate. So much so that a warning wasn't sufficient. But cease and desist from giving any money.
Embarrassing. Give me some milk.
Disbursement. And guess what happened? 16. They're saying that we are less fiscally responsible when the evidence said we met all our fiscal targets than those who did not.
What can go so?
What can go so? What can go so? And then it says inadequate progress and structural reforms. Not adequate, you know. Inadequate. The opposite of adequate. So much so that a warning wasn't sufficient. But cease and desist from giving any money. As a result, the IMF halted disbursement. And guess what happened? And other partners such as the World Bank, the IDB, and the EU also withheld funding. So when IMF did it, it wasn't because PMP talked to them, because that's what they go on the radio with later. That PMP tell IMF not to give them. The World Bank says true. The EU says facts. The IDB says what manner of a government is this? Who was over there? The current Prime Minister was over there. Later became Prime Minister on the back of Bruce Golding. What happened between 2011 when he promised bitter medicine and 2016 when he could say prosperity? The only thing that happened is the fortunes of this country. Go further. And we have to look now at the period 1989 to 2006.
They're not class.
Several financial institutions, they call it the FinZac crisis. FinZac period. It's an improper name. It's the financial crisis.
All right. This is part one. Because that FinZac something here is a delicate thing we want to highlight by itself. Or at the starting of because we know some people attention span is very, very short. So what I'm gonna do is this is part one of DAMIAN CRAWFORD. So I'm gonna stop the recording here and start it over again.